North American skies, once a symbol of safe travel, are now a source of anxiety. A wave of deadly incidents has shattered the U.S. aviation industry's reputation and triggered a dramatic Canadian travel boycott. Millions of Canadians have canceled flights to the U.S., sending shockwaves through the global travel sector. This crisis marks a turning point, exposing deep cracks in safety, trust, and industry oversight. As families grieve and travelers hesitate, the future of cross-border aviation hangs in the balance. The journey to recovery will be long, demanding urgent solutions and a fundamental rethinking of air travel safety. 2025 has become a nightmare for American aviation, a year that will be remembered for its relentless string of tragedies in the skies. What was once considered the safest era in U.S. air travel has been shattered, leaving the nation in shock and disbelief. After years without fatal crashes, the U.S. has seen 60 deadly incidents, and at least 188 deaths in just 6 months. The sheer number of lives lost in such a short span is unprecedented, and the aviation community is reeling from the impact. The frequency and scale of these tragedies have shattered public confidence and exposed systemic failures. Passengers now approach airports with a sense of dread, and families anxiously await news every time a loved one boards a flight. Crashes have ranged from Alaska to Tennessee, affecting everything from medical helicopters to commercial jets. No region or type of aircraft has been spared, painting a grim picture of a system under immense strain. The deadliest event, a mid-air collision near Washington, D.C., claimed 67 lives and underscored the crisis at the heart of U.S. airspace. The tragedy sent shockwaves through the nation, prompting urgent calls for answers and accountability. These are not isolated accidents, but symptoms of deeper problems: outdated technology, lapses in training, and regulatory shortcomings. Experts warn that years of underinvestment and complacency have left critical vulnerabilities unaddressed. Each headline adds to the fear, making clear that no part of the aviation network is immune. Social media is flooded with stories of near misses and close calls, fueling anxiety among travelers and industry workers alike. The crisis has reached both military and commercial carriers, demanding immediate action. Leaders from all sectors are now under intense scrutiny, as the public demands swift and decisive reforms to restore safety. The world is watching, and the pressure for reform is mounting. International partners and aviation authorities are offering support, but also raising concerns about the ripple effects on global travel. The U.S. aviation system faces its greatest test in decades. The coming months will determine whether the nation can rise to the challenge, address its failures, and restore faith in the skies. Between 2024 and 2025, 3 devastating air disasters shook Canadians to their core and ignited a nationwide boycott of U.S. air travel. These tragedies were not isolated incidents, but a series of catastrophic failures that exposed deep flaws in the aviation system. The first crash, in May 2024, involved a U.S. commercial flight that went down just minutes after takeoff. Investigators later revealed a catastrophic software failure in the aircraft's flight control system, a flaw that had gone undetected despite repeated warnings from engineers. All 189 passengers and crew perished, leaving families and communities devastated. Only 5 months later, tragedy struck again. A Canadian charter flight crashed while attempting to land at a U.S. airport. This time, 112 lives were lost. The investigation pointed to a deadly combination of pilot error and outdated American air traffic control systems, sparking outrage over the lack of modernization and oversight. The third disaster, in March 2025, saw a regional jet go down in severe weather. 76 people died as the plane struggled through violent storms. The crash raised urgent questions about the adequacy of pilot training, the reliability of weather forecasting, and the preparedness of airlines to handle extreme conditions. Each of these tragedies revealed a different weakness, whether in technology, infrastructure, or training. Together, they painted a picture of a system stretched to its breaking point, unable to guarantee the safety of those who trusted it. For Canadians, the risks were no longer abstract. The fear and heartbreak became personal, as families lost loved ones, and travelers questioned whether flying was worth the danger. The cumulative toll, 377 lives lost in less than a year, was simply too much to bear. Vigils and memorials sprang up across the country as communities mourned together and demanded answers. These were not random freak accidents. They were symptoms of a system in crisis, and the public began to see them as evidence of deeper systemic problems that could no longer be ignored. The narrative around air travel shifted almost overnight. What was once routine now seemed reckless. Flying to or within the US was increasingly viewed as a risk that Canadians were no longer willing to take. Grief quickly turned to anger, fueling a powerful movement for change. Protests erupted at airports, and calls for accountability grew louder with each passing day. The foundation for a widespread boycott was set, as Canadians united in their demand for safer skies and a complete overhaul of the aviation system. Canada's response was swift and resolute. In June 2025, travel agencies and advocacy groups called for a nationwide boycott of U.S. air travel, urging citizens to cancel all non-essential trips. Millions responded, canceling holidays and business trips, and amplifying the movement on social media with hashtags like #SafeSkies. Canadian Airlines saw bookings to the U.S. plummet by 40% overnight. The Canadian government issued a formal travel advisory, lending official weight to public fears and pressuring U.S. authorities. The boycott became a symbol of consumer power and national solidarity. Travel agencies redirected clients to safer destinations, further fueling the movement. The message was clear: until U.S. skies are proven safe, Canadians will stay home. Canada drew a line, demanding real action, not just promises. The boycott has dealt a massive blow to U.S. aviation and tourism, sending shockwaves through an industry already reeling from previous disruptions. Airports that once bustled with activity now echo with emptiness, and the ripple effects are being felt far beyond the runways. Airlines lost an estimated $2.3 billion in revenue from Canadian travelers alone, compounding existing financial woes. For many carriers, this loss has meant slashing routes, laying off staff, and putting expansion plans on indefinite hold. The financial strain is visible in every corner of the industry. The pain spread to hotels, car rentals, restaurants, and tourist attractions, especially in border cities and popular destinations. Businesses that once thrived on Canadian visitors now face empty rooms, idle vehicles, and tables that remain unset night after night. The absence of Canadians is felt in empty resorts and struggling local economies. In some towns, souvenir shops and amusement parks have closed their doors, unable to survive the sudden drop in customers. The economic lifeblood of these communities has all but dried up. Socially, the crisis has strained the once close U.S.-Canada relationship, replacing familiarity with mistrust. Where there was once easy movement and shared celebrations, there is now hesitation and uncertainty. Families and businesses straddling the border now face tough choices and new barriers. Long-standing traditions, cross-border friendships, and even family gatherings have been disrupted, leaving many feeling isolated and anxious about the future. U.S. airlines and tourism boards have tried to lure Canadians back with discounts and safety pledges, but fear persists. Promotional campaigns and reassurances have done little to overcome the deep sense of unease that now colors travel decisions. Trust, once lost, is not easily regained. The skepticism and caution among travelers reflect a broader uncertainty that may take years to overcome. The crisis has exposed the fragility of economic ties when safety is in question. It has shown how quickly decades of cooperation and prosperity can be threatened by a single event. The scars on cross-border relations may last for years, leaving both nations to reckon with the long-term consequences of lost trust and fractured connections. U.S. regulators and airlines have been forced into emergency mode. The FAA faces harsh criticism for lax oversight and slow safety upgrades, prompting a sweeping review of all commercial aircraft. The NTSB is investigating the crashes, promising urgent safety recommendations as soon as possible. Airlines have grounded fleets, accelerated safety upgrades, and revamped pilot training in a bid to restore confidence. Yet skepticism remains. Many see these as overdue, reactive measures. Experts argue that years of deregulation and cost-cutting are at the root of the crisis. Restoring faith will require more than promises. Only transparent, verifiable action will suffice. The crisis is as much about lost trust as technical failure. Decades of faith in U.S. aviation have been shattered by a relentless stream of deadly incidents. Social media has amplified fear and mobilized the Canadian boycott, turning individual concerns into a national movement. Hashtags like #SafeSkies and #CanuckBoycott became rallying cries, spreading stories of canceled trips and safety fears. Airlines and regulators now face a decentralized, citizen-led information ecosystem they can't control. Emotional stories and viral posts have more impact than official statements. Rebuilding trust will be harder than fixing technical flaws. The public now demands proof of safety, not just reassurances. Social media will remain a powerful watchdog, shaping the industry's future. The crisis has exposed the fragility of U.S. regional airlines. Silver Airways, a key regional carrier, collapsed in June 2025, unable to survive rising costs and plummeting demand. Its failure left many communities without vital air links, disrupting travel and local economies. Attempts to revive operations under new names highlight the chaos and importance of regional service. These carriers are essential for connecting small towns to major hubs, and their collapse threatens the entire network. The regional model, already operating on thin margins, may not survive new safety mandates and higher costs. More bankruptcies and service cuts could leave communities isolated. Fixing the crisis means rethinking how to support and regulate this vulnerable sector. The U.S. aviation crisis is a wake-up call. Safety can never be taken for granted. The Canadian boycott is a powerful vote of no confidence, demanding real change. The immediate challenge is to fix technical failures and, even harder, to rebuild public trust. Airlines and regulators must commit to a cultural shift, putting safety above all else. This means investing in modern technology, better training, and rigorous oversight. The era of blind faith is over. Transparency and accountability are now essential. The tragedies of the past 18 months must drive a generational overhaul. Only a safer, more resilient system will restore confidence and honor the lives lost.